Having a good drawing process could help you draw more efficiently and keep some uncertainty out of art. Hence why, ever since I quote-unquote finished my art torture challenge, I needed a new drawing process to implement some new methods to try out in my art. In this video, you will learn about my new and kinda wacky drawing process, and I hope you'll watch till the end because maybe this video could inspire you. Maybe. Just a small reminder to make sure you do the usual YouTube drill, liking, subbing, bell, as well as another one to check out my socials and my 16+ Discord server, all linked in the description. Now sit back, take out your notebook or drawing tablet, grab a snack, and enjoy the video. Do you guys want to guess the first step? Is it thumbnailing, sketching, getting a snack? Nope, my first step is to pick a song. I knew that I wanted this illustration to be centered around my OC, Colin, who I promise is not my favorite OC, since his birthday was on January 27th. Same day as Mozart, which is a coincidence. Colin probably has Mozart on his cereal cake, I'm not gonna lie. I picked 3 song ideas for an animatic. An animatic, I hear you say? I thought this was gonna be about illustration. My dear viewer, I say. This is, just stay with me. Anyways, I picked the 3 songs and made my Discord server vote on the songs. In case you were curious, the songs were I'm Not Okay by My Chemical Romance, Emergency by Paramore, and The Beach by The Neighborhood. My server ended up voting for MCR, so that is what I went with. After that, I went and storyboarded an animatic. Patch, I hear you say, but I thought this was gonna be silence at once. I interrupt rudely. I am literally getting to that. Now this is where it gets interesting, because you thought I was gonna make an animatic, huh? Nope. I took 4 promising frames from the storyboard and I showed them all to my Discord server for them to vote on. Democracy is very valuable. Once they voted, I took that frame and edited said frame's composition, values, and color feel. Adding these touches beforehand will give me a better idea of what the final result will look like. Side note, I'm pretty sure I made my server vote again on which composition for me to go with. I love my server, oh my god. Next, I gathered up some photo references and set up some 3D models. I've experimented with 3D models in the past, but I'm not really confident with them. However, I feel like they could be potentially useful for both my comic process and just in general. I used a 3D model to help with my Nora redesign, for example. Here comes the sketch, doo-doo-doo-doo. Using the 3D models as a reference, I drew over them with sketch guidelines. The issue with using only 3D models is that it could potentially make your art stiff, which I feel like the final result is kind of stiffer than I would like it to be. But maybe I'm just super critical of myself, as is the Patchoulzi tendency. I definitely need to work on using these models responsibly, and so I need to practice them more. After doing some cropping, I started work on the background. At first I wanted the background to be more painterly, but I do not have the skill set for that. Whenever I attempt a painterly background, I feel like it becomes muddy and loses a lot of that form. I don't like doing backgrounds with line art since I feel like it's more tedious, but I settled for the line art anyways. I also omitted a lot of stuff from the photo ref because I thought it would make the piece look a little better. For example, I removed the pull thingies from the seats. But looking back, I'm not sure if I agree with that decision. What do you guys think? Comment down below if you... Now we have line art, a recent trend in the art community that I have seen as people dunking on line art. I am personally really partial to line art. If I see a good piece with amazing line art, it just makes me think, damn, I want to draw like that. I do get the qualms though, with many people saying that the line art makes their piece less shapely and dynamic and all that. One thing you can do to combat this is add line weight. For example, in places where light is not hitting at all, slap on that good old ambient occlusion. If you want to make 2 objects feel more separate, apply thicker lines. There's a lot of things you can do to transform your line art into something you'll love, and I might make a line art tutorial, perhaps. We'll see. It's coloring time! Coloring is one of my favorite things to do. You're seeing your piece transform in real time from something that was in your imagination to something that's more tangible. I start by adding my base colors, and then I move on to what I call tone differences. I first add the blushy blush to the cheeky cheeks. I am a grown-ass adult. I also add this brush to the fingertips, the knuckles, the collarbone, the ears, anywhere with bone or cartilage that's close to the surface of the skin. I also add it in other areas in other artwork, but that's not YouTube friendly enough to talk about. I have a question, dear viewer. Do you know the difference between shade and shadows? Because I sure didn't. Not until recently, that is. It's a concept I'm still figuring out myself, but from what I understand, you use shade to help show the audience the texture of a material, and you use shadows whenever that object is casting a shadow. Yeah, there's probably plenty of YouTubers out there that can explain it better than me, and who knows, I most likely did it wrong in my piece. One way I am differentiating the shades and shadows is by using different shade colors depending on what I'm shading. The rule I'm going with is red for warm colors and blue for cool colors. Then I clip a duplicate of the color layer onto the shade layer, manipulate the opacity, and bam! Once the shades are added, I added the cast shadows. These shadows are manipulated by the environment as opposed to the shades. Since this was going to be a twilight scene, get out of here, Edward. I made my shadows a darker blue and kept the color mostly uniform. It's time for my other favorite step, highlights! Highlights are so fun to add. They make that piece feel more alive. Similar to the shades and shadows situation, I did 2 types of highlights. The ones that show the texture of the object and the ones from the environment. Last step, the post-processing. This is, and say it with me now, one of my other favorite steps. The post-processing adds that pizzazz and pizzazz that makes me look at art and say, wow, I want to eat that. It also unifies the piece as a whole and sets the tone and mood. I used to do my post-processing in the same way every single piece, but I want to move away from that and process my posts differently depending on the tone I want to convey, the environment the characters are in, and other varying aspects. So yeah, that was my drawing process. I don't think I'll use this process every time I draw, but if I'm developing an animatic and need to draw for whatever reason, this will help me kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Plus, doing it this way gives the drawing a better sense of storytelling, since the idea literally came from a storyboard frame. Before you go, here are a couple of reminders. My socials are linked down below if you want to see what I'm up to beyond YouTube. I'm on Blue Sky, Kara, and Newgrounds. Join my Discord server to vote on video or art topics, share your art and stories, and meet new people. It's really chill and I promise we don't bite. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. This helps push my wackiness to more people and helps make sure you don't miss an upload. Remember that you're valued in this world. Always be creative and have a good day.